Hello everyone, I am Shruti Chopra, and as always I have the super wonderful Suneer Chowdhary with me.
Thank you.
Today we're doing something a little different. We're experimenting. This is World Cricket Chat's post-match special. Welcome, Suneer.
Thank you very much, Shruti. I've been hearing that you have been gracing the Wankhede Stadium with your presence for that fourth Test match between India and England. How was that experience?
That was a wonderful experience. I was there for day one and I was there for day three. Day one was okay. It was nice. The last session was good when India got back in a little bit. But day three was extremely special. I know I saw 7 Indian wickets, and I know I saw Joe Root take those 2 wickets, and then Jadeja came in. And
that would have been a nervous moment, those 2 wickets when Joe Root of all the players, when you know that he's not a frontline bowler.
It was, but then I reminded myself of my own prediction that the Indian team is going to be resilient no matter what. And I just had to remind myself of that, and I'm glad I did, because Kohli and Jayant Yadav came back and brought India back into the game, and I'm so glad I got to see that partnership. You know, you will have to come in at some point, because I could go on about how wonderful that experience was. And Jayant Yadav, as you know, I do think he's a super player.
And he's a super articulate interviewee as
yes,
well.
He is,
but yeah, before you go on and on about those 2 days of experience, we have a whole test match to talk about. But before I get onto the test match, I also heard a lot of noise coming in through my TV set, which is not the commentary that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dhols and the videos of dhols that have been circulated all over Twitter and other social media. You had a video as well, so
yes,
that
I
was
did.
some experience as well. The atmosphere at the Wankhede Stadium. What makes it different was that in the first 3 Test matches we did not see that kind of an atmosphere, and that was in fact shown was reciprocated, so to say, by Virat Kohli when he took that victory lap as well. One of the reasons was obviously because India won the series at Wankhede, but the other reason was that Virat Kohli probably knows how important is that kind of a crowd support, and there was a lot of crowd support, Shruti.
Absolutely, and I'm glad I was part of that crowd. The dhol was superb. I mean, the energy, the enthusiasm that comes into the atmosphere of the stadium is unmatchable. But I will have to praise the English crowd a little bit. They really got behind their team. They sang. I mean, there must have been just 5 people there who were singing really loudly and getting behind their bowlers. But they really brought that through. I mean, I think that's the way a crowd should be. There was great banter between the Indians and the English.
And that's what they say about the Indian crowds, in fact, that it just needs 5 or 10 people to create that kind of an atmosphere. But when you say it's the same with the England fans as well, the Barmy Army and the other support groups that had probably come to Wankhede. So, well, that was to begin with what happened in the lighter vein. But moving on to the actual cricket.
Yes, the actual cricket. I've told you my highlight of the match was that partnership and experiencing that partnership. What was yours?
For me, the way India came back after being down at, as you said, 7 for 364 and going on to score 600, I would go back to the toss. India lost a crucial toss, as Alistair Cook has always put in the series, or at least he did at the end of the second Test match. That they lost a crucial toss in Mohali in that Test match, in Vizag, in fact, in that second Test match. But at this stage, Alistair Cook down 2-0, knowing that he has to win the match to remain in the series, winning the toss on that kind of a surface, which I thought was the most spin-friendly pitch of all the 4 Test matches that we have seen, to score 400. I think he got the scores on the board, but a faux pas in the selection. They did not take that third spinner, and Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid looked a little undercooked, I thought, and that allowed India to get away with a score of 600, with Jayant Yadav, as you said rightly, coming into his own. Virat Kohli scoring his 3rd successive double century in when you talk about Test series. And after that, it was only one team's game to recover from that deflated morale. I thought England would find it very difficult, and we saw what happened. Bowled out for a sub 200 score, and India completing a facile win, so to say, Shruti.
A win which we all enjoyed for sure.
Of course we did.
Now, Suneer, the world of Twitter is a very, very interesting place.
And a wicked place too.
Yes, and a wicked place too. In fact, it's where you can gauge what sort of mood the crowd has and what the public has, and Team India have received a lot of praise, and more specifically Virat Kohli. So I'm going to read a few tweets out for you, and I want your reaction on them.
Sure.
So famous statistician Rajneesh Gupta says on Virat Kohli's average that he is the only player to have an average of above 50 runs in all formats.
And that's a big thing, especially given that his average in T20 cricket, T20 international cricket is 50. We have had a lot of players who average more than 15 test matches. Some also do that in ODI cricket, but to do that in T20 cricket is marvelous. That means that every time he goes out to bat in a T20 match where there are just 120 deliveries for the entire team, he's scoring a 50. But coming back to Test match cricket, it's not surprising that he has touched the 50-run mark, which happened in this Test match. This was his third successive series in which he scored a double century. Not done that before, did not score a double century before, and he is now the floodgates have opened for him. So not very surprised with that statistic either.
So now on to the next one, which is by Chicken Biryani.
Deliciously named, so.
Yes, and I think you might like this. Virat Kohli is delivering more hundreds than an ATM machine.
This one is for those who are very politically inclined, who are into the demonetization issue. But I would just say one thing, that I think technically he might be wrong there. He's been delivering a lot of 200s,
yes,
so we might have a note as a mark of respect for Virat Kohli's form this time. A 200 rupee note probably coming in next.
Well, let's just tweet that and see what happens. Now, this one's interesting. This is a bit more crickety. At Nikhil Tate says, India were trailing by 93 runs and had just 4 wickets left at one stage. Still won by an innings. Who would have thought?
No, not a lot of people would have thought. Oh, you did. But you'd spoken about this issue earlier, that they were 376 or whatever they were for the loss of 364 for the loss of 7 wickets when Jadeja fell, and there were a few nervy moments everywhere, including with you as well. But to come back from there to score 600 runs, look, what happens usually is when you have a team down at 370 for the loss of 7 wickets, when you scored 400. You know that you are either going to get a lead, or you think that you are either going to get a lead or concede a very small lead of 20-30 runs, and then it becomes a one innings test match. But when a team gets out there and scores 600 from that position, the morale is all deflated. The bowlers, they feel more exhausted, the fielders feel exhausted, and then from there on you need to score another 230 runs or so to make the team bat again when you are 2-0 down in a foreign country, in the heat and the humidity and the dust.
And the crowd.
It's never easy. So that's where, you would have thought anyway. So that's a good one.
In fact, your own tweet is what I'm going to bring to light. Do you want to have a look at it?
Well, I've spoken about the Indian lower order batting in the first innings of all these 4 test matches against England. And I think the record says that they started off with a score of 127 for 4 in the first test match. Then they scored 90 odd for 3. This is the lower order batting that I'm talking about. Then in the previous test match in Mohali, they had a score of 213 for 4, which is again when those last 3 batsmen, Ashwin, Jadeja and Jayant Yadav, scored those 350s. And in this test match, when I tweeted, it was 221 for 1, but the last 4 wickets added 324 runs, which is humongous by any stretch. And that's where the match was lost for England.
Yes, I mean that's a fabulous effort.
That's a huge effort.
And to rescue the team each time like that,
test after test,
it's pretty commendable.
Very commendable. India has a very good record in the last 12 months when it comes to the lower order batting. I think after this series, India's average from the last 4 wickets has they have usurped England to the number 1 position as far as their average is concerned. So that's good going for Team India.
And another tweet there from @CrickCrazyNix. And this Mumbai 2016 win avenges the 2012 loss to a lot of extent. Virat Kohli's double, Ashwin's 12-er, Wankhede remains special.
Wankhede remains special when it comes to the other formats, but when it comes to Test cricket, it's not India's most favorite hunting ground. We've seen England beat India twice in 2006 and in 2012. 2012 defeat is what he's talking about. It was a surprise defeat. In fact, India took a 1-0 lead, and on that Mumbai wicket, you would have expected India to run through any opposition,
True.
but England played well to win that match, win the Kolkata match, and win the series 2-1. So in that respect, yes, it's a revenge to an extent, but as a lot of England followers would say, and I would agree to an extent, that the real revenge would be when India goes to England and tries to win a series there, or at least a test match there. So,
I'm looking forward to that one.
so we look forward to, I think, 2018 when India tour England next. That would be an interesting one.
Need to book some flight tickets for that one. Now, on to something a little off the beaten track. Freddie Wild said Pakistan are the only team who might push India at home, and even then, I think India would win. It's such a shame we won't find out.
It is a shame, but we know the politics behind it. We know that it is difficult to play cricket when the climate is that politically motivated. But hypothetically speaking, if India and Pakistan were to play a test match in either India or in the UAE, where the pitches are very similar to those found back in India, I think it would be a tough battle for a test series win. I would give India that little bit of an edge, and that's because of India's batting. India's lower order batting on these pitches in these conditions is a better quality, has shown better quality than what Pakistan has shown. So I would give India that edge, but not by that much. But well, that's hypothetical. That's a hypothetical situation.
Yes, and Pakistan's always been the most predictably unpredictable side, so
Yeah, true.
you never really know.
You never know.
Now, we've spoken a lot about on-field going on, and now it's time for some off-field controversies and issues and things that have come. I know I said this in our last video about England being sore losers, and
You did?
I did. Yes, I did.
Use those words?
I used those words, and somehow we've just got another example of that coming through from James Anderson, and I know that you've enjoyed this topic a little bit. So, what's your thoughts on that?
I would like to read
Yes,
out
of
what
course.
James Anderson said. He said, I'm not sure, and this is a press conference, and I'm quoting him, I'm not sure if he has changed too much when it comes to his technique. I just think any technical deficiencies that he has got are not in play out there. The wickets just take that out of the equation. He's talking about the Mumbai pitch and the rest of the pitches in this series. There is not that pace in the wicket to get the nicks and get the nicks to carry to the keeper or behind in the slips like we did against him in England, which had a bit more movement. Well, Shruti, I'm really surprised that Jimmy Anderson had to really explain how the pitches are in India and how the pitches are in England. I think the average cricket fan knows the difference between bowling to batsmen in India and in England. What I'm surprised about is that why would you want to, if that was a sledge, why would you want to do that once you're 2-0 down, about to fall 3-0 down
on day 4?
On day 4 of the test match. It's not even at the start of the test match. A lot of it doesn't make sense, and one of the things is it did not seem to be a sledge. It's just a case of probably James Anderson not wanting to acknowledge the fact that Virat Kohli is a decent batsman.
Right.
We had an Alistair Cook press conference at the end of this test match, and he said that yes, Kohli is one of the great batsmen of the time. He did add in these conditions, but at least he did not go about challenging the pitches or giving that as a reason because of which Kohli has scored so many runs. So I'm very surprised by that.
And that brings me to your tweet on James Anderson's bowling average. You did do a little one, a cheeky one on his batting average, but I'm not going to go there. But on James Anderson's bowling average in Australia, it's above 38. In New Zealand, it's above 36. In South Africa, it's above 39. I mean, I'm not even including India, which is above 33, and Sri Lanka, which is above 40, because I know you're going to say about the tracks there. But
look, that's the thing. When your bowling average as one of the number one bowlers, or at least one of the number one bowlers in the making at that stage when we had that tussle with Dale Steyn at one stage in his career. When you have those kind of figures, I think those figures are not bad for a normal bowler. For a good bowler, those figures are not bad. When you're looking at him being a number one bowler in the world, it's surprising that he has those figures, which also tell me that his figures in England are quite extraordinary. So for him to then point fingers at a batsman whose figures all around the world except in England, which is I'm talking about Virat Kohli's batting average, are good, comes again, I use the same word for want of any other words, surprising and a bit sore to my liking. So that's what I have to say about my tweet says it all. I mean the stats say it all.
It does, and in fact I think Graham Smith sums it up really, really nicely in his tweet. He says, is Jimmy Anderson saying he can only bowl in English conditions?
Hitting the nail when it's where it's due. I think he said it all. I think I think James Anderson doesn't. I don't think he has anything more left to respond to that. But I think the next one from Michael Vaughan is a good one.
Yes.
He sums it up really well. He said something which is very pertinent in these.
There you go. Since you're sneaking into my phone.
In this day and age, why can't players who play against each other just say, you know what at the moment a particular player XYZ is a good player, he's playing too well, and that should be that. You don't have to really mess around with something like how James Anderson did before the play started on the 5th day in the 4th test match.
Absolutely.
You probably want to do that at the start of the series, which is still understandable, but to do that when the series is lost is just quite unnecessary.
I completely agree with you, with Graham Smith and Michael Vaughan, and with a lot of the Indian public out there. So Suneer, what's next for both of these teams?
Next up is the 5th and the final test match. It is supposed to be played in Chennai. We are yet to get a confirmation now whether it is going to be the venue is going to be changed or no. From the team's perspective, I think this could be the first time that Virat Kohli might see an unchanged 11. He's been captaining for more than a year now. He started his full-time role in Bangladesh in 2015, if I'm not wrong, and then there was the Sri Lanka series, one against South Africa in India. India then went to West Indies earlier this year, New Zealand, this is England. There have been so many series, and not in 2 successive matches that Kohli managed to play the same 11, but it's working for him. India has been winning, but that is what matters. What we might see this time is that Kohli sticks to a playing 11 because Mohammad Shami has been ruled out, so he won't be coming back, which means Bhuvneshwar Kumar retains his place. Vridhaman Saha has been ruled out, so Parthiv Patel will continue to keep wickets, will continue to bat down the order, and probably have a few cheeky comments in the press conference himself. And the rest of them, I think, select themselves. So unless there are last minute injuries, I think India might go in with the same 11. As far as England is concerned,
they need a new side.
They need a new side. They probably need a new captain. If you ask Piers Morgan, they needed a new captain 6 years back, or at least when Kevin Peterson was kicked out of the team, they needed a new captain. But let's not go there. I think what England might do is give Liam Dawson a chance to play. They might bring in a third spinner in place of one of the pace bowlers. In fact, Jimmy Anderson needs to pick up wickets. His place might be in a bit of a danger come the Chennai Test match. And we could see probably a Ben Duckett or a Gary Balance getting a game, but that is subject to them being selectable, as the English selectors call these players. Stephen Finn once did not play in the whole series because he was unselectable, and I hope that
he was there.
He was, I think, sent back midway from that tour, but that was after he was selected and became unselectable and then had to go back. But so one of them might make it into the side, but we need to see that.
Great. So where do we go from here? We will see you guys, hopefully, for the 5th test match preview and prediction, which should be coming up very, very soon. And until then, as always, please do subscribe to our channel. And
there's a red button there.
Yes,
and you
there
can
is.
click on it and subscribe for it. We've reached the 100 subscriber mark, so we are following Kohli in his footsteps.
Yes, we are. We just need we need to get there. We will. And you can follow us on Twitter at World Crick Chat. Until then, have a very, very nice day. Bye bye.